Yes. As a child, I grew up in joint family. I loved spending time with elders, especially senior citizens. Their stories, their wisdom, and their silence, they shaped me. I used to follow my father everywhere. He used to help people no matter how big or small the need is. Sometimes with financial aid, sometimes to construct a toilet for a rural schools. And even I have seen him hosting a baby shower function for one of the orphan who was our colleague. I remember one day, Mohan uncle came to our home. He had polio. He expressed the hardship of using Indian style toilet. And my father gave him 10,000 rupees. As a child, I asked my father, "Why did you give so much?" My father simply replied, "Because it makes life easier for him." That moment stood with me, and I have seen something which I had not seen over a period of time. I had to think the challenges what people go through every day when the world is not built in mind considering them. My curiosity became understanding more of differences about people and what truly concept of belonging means. So my passion continued. During my school days, I had one of my friends, Suraj. He had a webbed fingers. We used to write with him without using our thumb. We used to play. Nobody has to tell us to include. We just did naturally. And we were unaware of the condition that is one part of disability. The later, I remember we had one of our tenant, Sarita. She was elder to us. She has autistic spectrum. Her mom used to send her to play with us. My friends used to tell, "We will not include her. She might take long time to respond and react. We can complete 2 or 3 rounds of playing." So I used to tell them, "Wait, let's include her." So her mom used to watch us from distance and we used to play. All these early experiences shaped me. It made me curious about people and their challenges, and when it comes to universal design, what are the different perspectives. So my curiosity became my passion. I pursued my PhD from National Importance University in India, taking a topic of inclusion of communities at workplaces. My entire research was on culture, physical environment, technology environment, and flexible working arrangement. I got to know different laws, frameworks, policies around accessibility. I thought, what is determining me? I have to go for changing that. So my passion became my work. I began to work on providing comprehensive accessibility solution to workplaces, communities, and societies. So all this reflection of my early age became a foundation for the concept of belonging. Belonging is all about, it is not a feeling, it is system, it is environment, and it is all about to do with our attitude. Let me ask one question. How many of you entered the room and you felt you did not belong or you have not included? It could be because of how you spoke, how you looked, or that space was not designed for you. So when we talk about belongingness, it is all about creating the environment where every people thrive, welcomed, included, irrespective of their ability, circumstances, and background. So belongingness is a foundation. When we talk about belongingness, let us discuss the accessibility, policy, and the compliances. So accessibility is the first element. If you look at accessibility, that leads to inclusion. Let's redefine the accessibility. So all of you, when you think about accessibility, we think about ramp, elevators, wheelchair accessible friendly toilets. But accessibility is not just ramp. It is all about access to information, access to education, access to resources, access to environment, access to healthcare, and you're designing the website which is accessible for a visually impaired, with they can read that, or you're using the simple languages for people with intellectual disability, or you're providing a sign language interpreter, sometimes silence when needed. So accessibility is not something which we are providing extra. It is dignity, it is respect. So when we think about accessibility, as being an accessibility consultant, I work in this area. We have observed various challenges, the conditions, the positivity, the negativity, the different scenarios. Recently, one of the inclusive hiring organization, we were having a discussion. They have hired visually impaired candidate for one of the role. But the HR process and the learning platform is not accessible for a screen reader. So due to which she had a skill, but there was no access to technology. So the technology what they were using was not accessible for visually impaired. So one of the IT organization has had their diversity inclusion drive. So they were looking for software engineer. So they recruited and selected a candidate with hearing impairment. So person has joined, but there was no sign language interpreter was provided during the meeting, due to which he used to feel invisible. He could not express his communication. There was a communication barrier, due to which he had to resign. So we have one more best example, that is educational institution. I had been to one of the educational institution where I met one girl. She recently met with an accident, was not able to move and was using wheelchair, a temporary disability, where her classroom was there in the first floor. There was no lift provisioned in that school and college, due to which her parents used to lift and take her to the first floor and pick her after the classes. So the physical environment was inaccessibility, due to which there was no access to education. And the entire system and the family had to face a lot of disturbances. So accessibility is a foundation for belonging. So accessibility has to be re-looked into in a broader context. Let us understand, when we talk about inclusion, how we can create a system of inclusion. Designing belonging is all about shaping the system, environment, and attitude where people thrive and they get welcomed. So we have a best example of designing inclusion, Chandigarh. Our first planned city in India, where Swiss-French architect, the Le Corbusier, in the year 1915, designed the city of Chandigarh with inclusivity, with the reflective thinking, with the sector planning, a wide walkways, the cycle tracks, the green belt. It is a real meaning of how you can make city as inclusivity when you consider people in mind when you are designing your system. So we also have example of Delhi metros, where they have TGSI. I also found at Chandigarh group of institution, I was very happy using tactile surface pathing for visually impaired students here. The similar atmosphere was created in metros in India, where visually impaired candidate can navigate without any support with dignity and respect. We also have some of the examples from core IT sectors. We work with them on inclusive hiring and being an accessibility consultant. So where we have seen involvement of neurodiversity community, instead of having regular traditional interview, they conduct workshop based on that neurodiverse community, ADHD as well as autism spectrum, the candidate, they will exhibit their talent. Based on that, based on their skills, they will be selected for the role. We also have one more big approach, the tourism in India. We are having a project on barrier-free tourism, where we are making tourism accessible for larger community. So when we talk about inclusion, it is a mindset. It is intentional, it is structural, it is a journey. Let us also discuss some of the policy in action. I'm very happy I'm working towards policy and seeing that in terms of implementation, what are the gaps and how we can work on that. So we have global frameworks, we have national framework. 193 countries have ratified under United Nations Conventions on Rights of Persons with Disability. So India was very happy in 2007 we ratified, and we have another law of 2016, that is Rights for Persons with Disability Act, which talks about every public and private establishment, the technology, the miscellaneous, and the entire transportation should be accessible for the larger community. We also have a rule book that is on universal accessibility, that is Harmonized Guidelines of 2021, which talks about all the architects, urban designers should follow a protocol and design the system which have application of universal design. So we will see India can be accessible by 2047, the Vikasit Bharat, what concept we are thinking now. So there are various things which we can relate to. The similar way we have BRSR, the Security Exchange Board of India has issued a framework for ESG which mandates inclusive hiring, well-being, and also making spaces accessible for larger community. So all the listed organizations in India should go for recruiting the larger community as well as see to that their entire spaces are accessible. So then coming to compliances, whether we have to think this only from a compliances perspective or make inclusion as a culture. So I strongly believe we have to move from accessibility as a checklist to more on inclusion as a culture. When we look at some of the statistics, 1 in every 6 person live globally has some kind of disability, which constitutes 1.3 billion people, that is 16% of the world population. By 2050, 20% of our India's population will be senior citizen. As per the census 2011, 2.21% of our community is people with disability. The expert says due to our new law and the kind of data, we have 8 to 10% of the community presently people with disability. Then where we stand? Accessibility is not something rare. It can happen to any one of us. Everyone at every point of any point of time in our life have undergo some kind of permanent or temporary condition. It could be due to situations like accident, or it could be due to our age. So how we are designing our spaces? So when we talk about compliances, we need more architects, not from construction perspective. We also need from the construction perspective, but we need from who can make the system change, the leadership, and empathetic approach. So it is all to do with our mindset, the choices we make, and also how we create a system where all are included, accepted, and welcomed. Let us understand, if I have given a chance, what you will build today? A world of hidden steps or world of open doors? Choice is yours. So let's all be an advocate for accessibility. Let's create and design the world where no one is left behind and work towards be an architect of belonging, and it should start from us. Thank you.